up, everybody? We got a new show here. I think is what we're gonna call it. I got Sharon from Black Jaded Wolf. I'm teasing names for for this little thing, and we'll tell you why. I'm calling this one kind of like the pilot episode. I'm calling it Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged.
Oh, I like that one.
That's kind of my working title, guys. I'll give before I kick it over to Sharon, start asking some questions. The idea for this is. To start bringing shows and what goes on at shows, the behind the scene for shows to the folks who are out there listening, a different kind of content, right? We talk about the market, we talk about cards, we talk about what's going on. We're going to touch on all that too. But, Sharon happens to go with her team to a lot of shows. And we're kind of like she's like Lou Gehrig right now with so many streaks of how many shows in a row per weekend. We'll get to that too. You're not allowed to take any time off, especially if you're doing a show. You have to have stuff for us to talk about.
Oh my God, now the pressure.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thought being, hey, we can come on here, a couple times a month and talk about, hey, in the last 2 weeks, what shows did you go to? What did you see at those shows? How was the deal flow? What would you improve if you could improve? What did you like? What did you not? All that fun stuff. And then also look forward at some of the shows you might be going to in the next couple of weeks. And then what gets fun? Well, we're looking forward to Chantilly in a week. This is what I'd like to see. And then we'll come on in a couple weeks and be like, hey, at Chantilly, I saw everything I wanted and more, So it'll be fun, a little interesting stuff. So we'll go with that, and we'll just start it off with. So the last couple of weeks, what shows have you been to?
3 straight weekend. Vegas, literally coming back from the summit Wednesday, straight head into Comic-Con Thursday. And then after that, I didn't take a single day break and start prepping for this weekend, basically, the Long Island Hofstra show. Yep. And back to the office again.
So I'll ask just right off the bat, because this is probably what people are thinking, just because we don't get exposure to it, is there a different vibe at Comic-Con than there is at the card shows? Or do any card shows kind of match the vibe? Talk to me about the difference between those two types of shows.
So it's my first time setting up. I've been walking around, Comic-Con, but this is my first time setting up. I feel like there's a lot more true collector. They're not buying for investment. Okay. I literally put up like 2-3 showcase of non-sport and Pokemon. Mm-hmm. They buy it. They're not even checking comps. They're basically, oh, that's such a cool card. You don't see them often. Okay. They buy it. Yeah, they might ask like, oh, let's say the price tag is $850. Can you do $825? Done.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow,
yeah.
So no card ladder, no card head. There's nobody walking around, comping prices.
No.
And this is like modern Pokemon, different Pokemon. They're just out there buying.
Yeah, old and new. So I noticed too, not a lot of grading.
Okay.
So basically, I'm like, a lot of people said, oh, wow, you're like the only booth I've seen that has graded Pokemon. So if I'm going to spend $20 on this card and yours is already graded for $35, I would rather buy yours.
Okay. I mean, so maybe there's some room for some grading in although I guess only if it's going to add a little bit to the price. They don't really want to pay a huge premium for the grading. But I mean, do you think part of that has to do with the fact that like Comic-Con New York, I mean, they have a couple. There's one out in San Diego, which is a big one, that those are like, this is a destination for somebody. That's like their national, right? So they're more willing to spend money as the experience. Like they're going to go home. They'll show pictures to their friends that they dressed up as X, for a day. People really get into it. They wear costumes or like cosplay. And then it's all right. And I bought this card. You think that has something to do with it? Or it's just that collector base? It's been around a little longer.
It's the experience.
Okay.
So that's one thing I've been telling to a sports card show promoter too. You want to make it as an experience for them, So I did it because the booth is very expensive. I'm going to be honest with you. It's $3,000 for the booth. No card show is anywhere close to that. Okay. Most of them, I mean, Nationals is like $1,600, for the whole week.
So it's even twice as much as National.
Yes. And it's not even a big booth. It's literally one table. So, but it's the experience. I kind of have a funny story, actually. So this guy's walking up, with his head down and like, ooh, cards. He looked up. And guess what? He's like, oh, my God, it's you guys. And it was Josh Luber.
Oh, there you go. See that?
He's like, it's so funny. The only cards that I saw in the show, and it's you guys. So he was like,
That's
So we
funny.
took a little picture. I haven't posted it yet. I like to take my time on those things. And sometimes I don't even post it. It's just for myself, and stuff like that. But it was we caught up a little and then we chat. So he
So
likes those type of thing. It's like a collective thing. There's like tons of rappers there, artists. So I did it to support a lot of my artist friends. So it's just a different experience. It's a fun experience.
well, you can
That's
just see
the
behind you, right? I mean, we see look at there's like the vinyls. You got all kinds of
yeah.
like little statues, little
Oh,
figurines,
you
all
haven't
kinds of
seen
stuff.
this side of it. This side is literally a whole wall of just toys.
Look at that. So I mean,
Yeah.
you have that overlap between the cards, kind of the culture, the Comic Con, and
Yeah.
that vibe, right? So I mean, it's a great point. It's a great lead in, right? So you were at a couple of shows. They don't make it an experience. I mean, what would be something like a low hanging fruit, something easy that like from the sports world? I mean, if you want, I can dress up like Honus Wagner and walk around the show. I mean, I could do that. Does that mean like a little cosplay, Honus Wagner? No.
It's not that. It's just more like you want it's not I don't want it to just all about value. It's like you want some true collector that, oh, I remember this card. I was buying it with my dad years ago. And let's say they made a reprint about it. It's not expensive, but it's nostalgia. It brings back memory. You have a certain childhood attachment or any sort of attachment. I know it might be a lot to ask, but I know our market has become so numbers. It's all about numbers.
Yeah.
Every kid, it's like I did Hofstra this weekend.
Hmm.
I mean, every kid has their phone. And I don't mind. And so my mindset is so different in those type of shows.
Yep.
This kid is such a good kid. Sometimes I meet rude kids. Sometimes I meet really nice kids. This kid was so nice, behaved, stood there, waited. I'm very busy in shows, and
Yeah.
he just stood there and waited. And it's like, oh, I saw you in a video. I want to ask you some questions. It just happened that I don't have anything that he needed, but I told him walk around, advise him what to look for, and I feel like he walked around and I told him he wanted this Kyler Murray card, right?
Yep.
Contender. I said it might be a good investment, but you gotta project the kid and do a little research. And the dealer was asking like $1,100. Like that's the bottom I could check. And he said in his phone, he's like he couldn't find it. And obviously I told Card Ladder, I said there's other options to use, and stuff like that. eBay, obviously. And I helped him out, and the card is literally like $500-$600.
Right.
And you could go to my booth. It's like sometimes we try to stay calm unless I pay too much for it.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
you honestly, I can't. So, but I told him if you really like the kid, pay what they're going for, or pay a little bit more,
Right.
just a little. But it's got to be fun for the kid. Now the kid is hesitant to walk around.
Right. Yeah. No. So I mean, is that part of an experience for a kid? I mean, it's funny as you were talking. I remember going to shows as a teenager with my dad. It was early
Hmm.
'90s. Topps put a product out called Archives. They still do it, but the first ever Archives was just basically a reprint 1953
Yep.
Topps set. And I remember buying it with my father and opening it, and it was like I was like, "Wow, this is cool." I got a Willie Mays, and he was like, "Well, look at this," like look out here. Dodgers I used to root for, and look at this card. And I mean, I think I
Yeah.
still have some of them. I don't think they're worth anything, but that was a cool, like, oh, I remember doing that. I remember,
Yes.
going to that. And you
Yeah.
remembered opening the packs up as a kid in the 50s. So
Yes.
I remember that kind of a thing. I mean, how much of it is, to have an experience, nostalgia, to kind of bring some fun and not just, comps and data, computers and business. How much of it is on the dealers themselves? How much is it on the people who put on the shows? How much is it on the manufacturers, the companies, to put out a project that draws in nostalgia, fun, and stuff? I mean, is it an equal split? Should they all be working together?
I think it's an equal split, but I also think it's the dealers. The dealers is to me are like the teachers.
Yeah.
If they come to you and all you do is literally come to your booth and you're looking at your phone, what's their word?
Mhm.
That's what the kid's gonna be.
Yeah.
Copying.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean,
but
I've seen some stuff like a Mama Breaks does like a
mhm,
hunt. They do like a card
mhm.
hunt with like bags and stuff like that. Like maybe shows should do to bring in more kids. It's almost a reg hunt, like at every get the cards.
Yeah,
I think they do it at Burbank and
we
that kind of stuff. Good.
Exactly. That was cool. I saw what Union Market did
Yep.
some hunt too this
Yep.
week. I think it's fun for kids. There were some kids this weekend that he started with like $1. All those challenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot- And there's a lot of generous dealers. This kid literally started with $1, and he has a stack of cards yesterday.
There you go. So I mean, that's what happens.
You know,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
So
listen, for the kids, that's nice. I mean, what I'm dealing, I have, my son. You guys are always
yeah,
nice to him too, but and
mhm,
now he just wants to buy Pokemon because it's shiny. I'm like, all right,
exactly.
so like, I will buy some Pokemon. Well, what are we looking for? I don't know. This one is
Yeah,
nice.
exactly.
I don't know. Like, but, yeah, but I could buy him a Pokemon box for $100 or $60 or whatever it is.
Mhm,
So for me, I'm like, I don't even care if he's not getting Justin Herbert in his Pokemon box because whatever, it doesn't
exactly.
hurt the wallet that much, as long as he
Or we
gets
could do
something.
a balance of it.
Yep.
You could buy a Pokemon, and if he likes sports too, as a father, as a mother, you could say, oh, maybe let's open, if you have a daughter, let's open some WNBA packs.
Yeah.
It's a
He brought
combination.
a friend of his, a girl who was there, and we bought a box of WWE women's division.
Hmm.
She watches wrestling, women's wrestling, and we found the box. It's just women's wrestlers, and she loved it. She's like, "Oh, Alexa Bliss, and look at this autograph I got, and this has a piece of the ring. This has a piece of
Yeah.
oh, look, this is so cool." So yeah, I mean, it's different strokes, for different. Even that box, I think I paid $69 for that box. Just like, hey, thanks for coming. Open up something you think is fun. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, it's I'll tell you one thing, and maybe it was just our fault because we didn't want to buy a picture, we want to try to buy a card. I didn't even see you. We walked around for like 4 hours on Saturday. I don't know, you must have been in like the middle somewhere. We must have passed
I
you at like
am in the middle. I was like, I when I set up, I always like to be in the middle.
yeah.
People like to be on the edge and by the entrance. I like to be in the middle, and that's funny. I was exactly in the same spot. I saw you a while back. I don't know
Yeah,
how I
I should
missed
have
you.
found you. We
I
did
was
like the
waiting for
around the
Ian.
thing. You know what it is? You don't have value boxes, and my eye was on value box. I'll tell you why. They give a little pack when you get
Hmm.
admission. They give you like a show pack, and it's
Yep.
got
Hmm.
random stuff in it. And Ian got one, and his friend got one, and they say, "Open it
Oh.
here because if you win, you can get a free autograph." And his friend got a free
Oh.
autograph, and it was Billy Wagner, pitcher.
Oh.
He was on the Mets for a
Okay.
while.
Yeah.
We spent
Hmm.
probably a good hour looking through Mets boxes and value, but trying to find a Billy Wagner card, and no one had one. And we were like, "Can we buy
Oh.
a baseball and have him sign it?" And we just couldn't find it, so the free autograph went unused.
Yeah.
So, I
Oh.
mean, but it's a cool like step in the right direction to do that kind of
Exactly.
stuff, like
So
getting somebody.
the promoters are trying, which is a good direction, basically. And I also like this week's Hofstra show because they brought RJ Barrett.
Yeah, right. I mean,
It's most of the time they, no knock to the all Hall of Famers, but if you keep bringing the same guys, the younger kids don't even know who they are.
Barrett was a draw, right? People and Eli Manning was
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, Eli Manning. So the funny part, I actually got a Barrett too. So I don't usually do those things, but I have a obsession with like nicknames and stuff.
Okay.
So I asked him to sign his nickname, and I research, and I
What's his nickname?
Maple Mamba.
The Maple Mamba.
So
Okay.
he's Canadian, and he
Canadian.
loves Kobe. And I did a bit more research later, and I found out he retired that because Kobe passed, which
Mhm.
is his idol. But he still signed it, and you don't see a lot of them. So
All right. So
it's a piece I'm gonna display in my office.
give
But
me one good thing. I mean, Barrett and Eli being there, one good thing from each show, one thing if you were in charge, what you'd improve from like Vegas and from Hofstra. And then let's talk about Chantilly coming up and some other stuff that might be on your horizon.
um, a little bit more like probably giveaway for kids. Some sort of, like you said, like Union Market did, like some sort of pack. I could coordinate with dealers, and it's not just the promoter doing it.
Mhm.
Work with dealers, put some, I don't know, scavenger in each dealer booth that participate,
Yep.
and stuff like that. So they go around different
I
area.
like that.
So yeah, and that's one. And I know people like don't like this idea, but it's so huge in Comic Con right now. Is the food truck.
Okay. There was a food
People
truck.
don't. Some people don't like it, but you don't. It's like in Hofstra. There's only one type of food. Some facility might not allow it,
Mhm.
but it's like you put a food truck in there. It doesn't cost you money. You just ask them to come there, and the people don't have to leave the facility. And some
Right.
of them might not come back anymore.
Okay. I mean, it's a valid point,
So,
right, for dealers.
mhm,
One of the suggestions that I had, and I know we have people who run shows, people who promote shows, who listen to this, a lot of them. I suggested sort of like a because look, there are people, you have your show list of who's going to be there. There are dealers who have been with you for years at these shows,
oh
right?
yeah,
I mean, you've been doing
mhm,
the house show for a long time. You do Chantilly, you do all these shows. Like they should have, I'll call it like the Knights of the Round Table. They should have sort of like a board meeting of just of the dealers, like top 5 dealers, 6 dealers, however it is. Invite some dealers who are at the show because they can give you feedback you might not be seeing yourself. You know what I mean? And also, these are the people you want to help, you want to keep happy, and maybe they're not thinking about doing a scavenger hunt. Maybe they don't want to impose that on dealers. Maybe the thought process for someone who's doing a show is, all right, Sharon's paying her money. Get as much traffic in there as I can. I don't want to bother her with a scavenger hunt. I don't want to bother her with
mhm.
extra stuff. But maybe if you and 3 or 4 other dealers, and maybe all of the auction houses got together, and they had, like, I don't know, find this at a, you stop at this table and find like a
Yep,
map. I don't, I mean, but there are enough kids that you keep them entertained.
most
I
definitely, yeah,
run up a little bit and run around in the whole. Maybe just do it in one section, or
yep.
you know, Hofstra had a trade night at one of the shows this year. I don't think they had it at this one
They
either. But
did. I actually didn't know that they didn't have it this weekend. So there were kids that was asking me if there's a trade show. I didn't know that they didn't have it, but I know they had it on the White Plains show.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those
So
things where, like, you have one of these, round tables, like executive committee or whatever you want to call it, of a board of dealers. Somebody might volunteer to do it each time, and kind of host it. One dealer this time, one
yeah,
dealer that time. It's almost like, like family reunions, right? These cousins are going to pay for the food this time. Those cousins got it next year. These cousins will have it in their backyard with the pool. I mean, these guys are going to
like
get
I
the
always
park. I
said,
mean,
it has to be a shared movement, basically.
yeah,
That's one thing in Las Vegas that I spoke to some of the women in the hobby. If one person can't do a podcast every few weeks, maybe it should be shared.
yeah,
Maybe I would do it with Sarah Layton one week. The in 2 weeks, Hannah could do it with Sam. There's tons of women that's willing to do it, so we could do the same principle with. I kind of proposed to Jimmy and Brian.
yeah.
It's like
I
us
mean,
talking to different promoters, and stuff like that. Bring them on. Just putting yourself out there, basically.
listen, I love the idea, and obviously, there's the better communication, more
Yep.
teamwork, you name it, is there. I know somebody like you and probably a bunch of other people would volunteer to do that, give that feedback. Be a sounding board. Hey, this is what I saw at the show. Hey, this would bring
Hmm.
people in. Hey, this would keep people here. This is what I saw
Yes.
at Comic Con, because a lot of times there's not that crossover. You were the only one there
There's
with
not a
cards,
lot.
so
Yeah.
you can
I'm
tell
shocked.
them, by the way,
Comic
look,
Con did it. Yeah.
this was what was positive. This is what kept the kids engaged. This is what they love. Here
Hmm.
was giveaways that were being done, or here was this,
Yep.
or I'm willing to do this, this, and this. And I know these 3 other people who are at your show, they'll do it too. I mean, so I know that you can do it. As long as there's open communication and everybody works together, cooperation. Vegas, I got to ask you a question. Because you were there, I wasn't, but I did see a lot of feedback, and I don't want you to pan anyone. You got to keep obviously good relations with everybody who throws the shows. Then I don't need you to say anything that gets you an email after this. Like, I heard you on with Cage in your new Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged show. You said some bad things about my show. I don't need to get you in trouble. I know you walk the line, but
Whatever I complain, I said to the Vegas promoters. So.
okay, so I mean, so we'll get there. So that's good.
Mhm.
You could share that with the folks here then, because then it's
Mhm.
it's something they already know. But just as an outsider watching the content coming out of that, it seemed like the biggest complaints I heard were that there wasn't a lot of foot traffic there. There wasn't a lot of, like, actual buyers. That most of the deals going on were dealer to dealer. There wasn't a lot of deal flow. There wasn't a lot of people coming in looking to actually spend. And that, I mean, I saw some people actually come out and say that's on the promoters, that's on the people putting on the show to get better, communication, advertisement, you name it, and bring them out there. Did you have any, like the same similar kind of feedback? How did you, find the Vegas show?
Definitely not as much foot traffic. I mean, last year was a lot better. There was also not a lot of show last year.
Right.
When they did it. So there's not a lot of West Coast show. Now there's Dallas, Union City, so some people might not even have the trip. And after 2 weeks, there's a Union City.
Right.
And after that following weekend of the summit was a Vegas show.
Right. Yeah.
So that to me was a little tough. I actually told a couple of my customers, yeah, come see me in the Vegas show, and they booked it for the Vegas show, not the Summit
Not
show.
the Summit. Yeah. Because they were
Because
right on top of
there
each
was
other.
some sort of, yeah, there was some sort of confusion. And one guy was kind of upset because they really came to see me and they booked the flight. He was from San Diego and I wasn't there, because we were supposed to do some sort of
Right, because there
deal.
was the Summit, and the Summit had a show part of it, and then the following weekend, like days
Yes,
later, there was a Vegas show
a
also.
Vegas show. So it was very confusing. And I addressed that to the promoter and they were a little surprised that the Vegas show kind of sneaked in and put the date because they put the date down apparently earlier. And,
Mhm.
so I think promoters just need to communicate a little bit better, and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
at
I
the end,
mean,
it affects the whole hobby. It affects us. It affects the people that's coming there, and
I
it
could
just,
see
the optic
twofold.
just don't look
One,
good.
fatigue from the collectors, right? I mean, too many shows, you're not gonna. It doesn't have that event kind of Comic Con thing to it, and more importantly,
Exactly.
someone like you're almost in a bad spot, right? Like if there's shows on the same weekend and you have loyalty to two show promoters, what are you gonna do? And you don't want to split up your inventory, split up your staff, and you definitely don't want to go to the expense of having to go to two
Yep.
shows at the same time, the same weekend, where you're probably not going to do as well because you won't have all your inventory and all your people there. So,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I mean, part of this, I guess,
That's
becomes
my biggest dilemma right now, so that's why I'm kind of putting it out there and just making things clear for people. If you want to come to some East Coast, so these are the shows I'm attending. These are some of the good shows that I'm going to. That's why we're doing this.
well, you're a
Mhm.
draw. So tell me about one deal, one card, one trade, one card that came into your table, maybe that you were like, wow, I'm going to pick this one up. Something you don't expect to see at a show, or something you sold. I mean, you already have one with the Pokemon one for Comic Con, but something in the last 3 weeks where you it wasn't something you expected, either going off the table or coming in.
Wasn't expecting. There's some nice Pokemon that came in. It's not about the money value,
Right.
but
Yep.
it's some rare ones that are from other countries like
Oh,
China, Japan, rare ones, PSA. One of them you can't even find a comp.
wow. Well, that
So
that lets you be creative pricing.
yeah, but you so it's like you could be at 1,000 or you could be it's such a big range, it could be 2,000 basically.
Yeah, Andrew
I
and I were
picked it
actually
up.
talking about that this morning with the PWCC.
Mhm.
That range, that 1 to 5 range, is a really
Yep.
interesting one because you put it up for auction, it could sell for 1,500, sell for 3 grand. Like it's very interesting, right?
And that's big. That's where I could lose money or
Or do well,
but that's all. Yeah, but that's also the sweet spot. A lot of people want to pay 1,000 to 2,000, hoping it could get to 4,000.
right?
Not there's less people right now buying 5,000, hoping it could get to 10,000 because it's a big jump. It's such a
Yep.
big gamble. So
Yeah,
I would rather buy 5 cards at $1,000 than one $5,000 card.
and see what pays off. I like it. Any big sales, any big trades, any big deals like that, or just a whole bunch? You just do volume.
Uh, well, I do both, but my biggest sale this week that even Adam messaged me, Adam Lefko messaged me.
Uh-oh.
I have 3 people message me like, "Did you really sell this card? Did the guy pay?"
Uh-oh. Listen,
I
it
want
hurts.
Card Ladder to know it is paid officially. My Hertz Gold Kaboom got sold
Wow. See,
on
this is
eBay. Yeah,
an eBay sale.
yeah, on
Wow.
eBay.
The
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts Gold Kaboom. And you
it's
sold
a
it,
PSA 9. It was a $20,000. So,
and it's
yep.
25 now. Now that they beat Dallas last night. The
Well,
new
yeah.
owner, the new owner wants 35. The new
So
owner.
it's always like that. Any team that gets close to 6-0, Matt Ryan was the last one a few years ago, and Kyler Murray a couple of years ago. That's the sweet spot that the market always takes a big jump. So obviously Matt Ryan lost the game six,
Yep.
sixth game, and Kyler obviously got injured. So it didn't happen. So yesterday was the best situation for Hertz, obviously.
Yeah. And they won.
So
Listen,
so for
back at the
that
beginning of the
person who
season,
won it,
I said
so
first
for the
nine
person
games
that won
by
it,
Hurts.
did you really say that? See,
Yeah.
I have proof because of sports card investor got me on the video. So people like messaging me, and all that stuff. And when everybody was going for Herbert and Burrow, I told, dude, Hertz is like a tenth of the price of those guys.
Yep. We
So
talked
why
about it.
not take a gamble? You're gonna lose not that much. They have a good team. I told people you don't just buy quarterback tools. You buy team because football is a team game.
I agree entirely. Go back. I mean, we talked about the PWCC auction before the season. I said buy Hurts in
Hmm.
this auction with everybody else, and
Yep.
also there's a post on my page that I said they'd be at least 7-2 in the first 9 games, just because the schedule lined
Yep.
up for that. And now,
Yes.
with Dak getting injured and with the
Yeah.
Bucks not looking, they could be 9-0. You know what I mean? And I've
They
been
could
saying that.
easily be. That's what I've been telling people. They could easily be 9-0. But like you said, if you look at the score yesterday, it's like upset weekend. You know,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
can't predict anything. But in football,
Football's nuts, and they haven't really played a dominant team yet. They haven't really played, and they've had a couple close ones that they pulled out in the end. And we'll see what happens. But I'm not
well,
completely sold on
projected.
Hurts yet. But I like the
No,
sale.
no, no. I'm not saying sold. It's more like the team. The team defense is good. So far he's making the right decision.
Hmm.
It's like I know his biggest criticism was, oh, can he read the blitz?
Yep.
And stuff like that.
Yep.
And so far he's reading right.
Yeah.
It's that's always been Vic's issue too, and Lamar's issue. But so far he has. We're not sure if it's gonna. Is it luck? Is it good? Did he really improve? We don't know. We'll see.
Well, we hope it's not Luck, because then he'll just retire early if he's anything like Luck. But no, and you're right though. They went out, scored 20 straight points, and then Cowboys scored 17 points. And after it was 2017, the Eagles got a drive, and you could see him making the right decisions. He was reading
Yes.
the coverage. At one point, it was a third down, maybe 5-4, and you could see it's they show blitz, but the
Yep.
two middle linebackers dropped into coverage, leaving
Yep.
the middle open, and instead he pulled it down. He ran it for
Yep.
5 yards. You
Mhm.
take what the defense gives you. I've actually been a little more impressed by him than I
Mhm.
thought I would be. But what you're talking about here is a great example of the market is not going up this year, but there was an opportunity before this season to put your money in something that was a calculated risk based on the
Yep.
team, based on the player, and to move it depending upon the window you were investing in. Your window
Yes.
was, usually that's 6-0. You know that from your sweet spot. You know that from from the past. You've seen it with Matt Ryan.
Mhm.
People don't even think about Matt Ryan as somebody to invest in, but you watched when Matt Ryan was going for 6-0. His card price is going
Mhm.
up. Same thing with Kyler. This is Jalen
Mhm.
Hurts. Let's hope for the people who are buying Jalen Hurts cards that his cards don't fall into the same category as Matt Ryan's and or
No.
Kyler Murray's.
Well, to protect yourself, sell some. Cover. So now you'll be everything you bought
It's
is
profit
basically
or
free.
close to it. Yeah, I like it.
It costs money. I mean,
That's it.
I have one more big card. Well, two more, but my Black Prism,
The
Black
Black Prism,
Auto
yeah.
hurts.
Oof.
But it's almost paid for.
Listen,
So
I love it, and I mean that might be 9-0. That might be the time. 9-0. That might be the time to move that. But we'll
I'm very
see.
close. I'm talking to Golden. They're texting me almost the last 2 weeks if we should run it or not.
Right? Maybe episode you'll have an update for us. So last thing, I've never been to the Chantilly show, and for the folks listening to this, in the week leading up here to the Chantilly show this weekend, it's the Friday the 21st through Sunday the 23rd. I'll be there on the 22nd for the whole
Uh-huh.
day and the whole show. I've never been. What can I expect? What are you looking forward to? What is that show about? Like, what are some of the good things about that show? So that if there's somebody listening to this or watching this and they're on the fence about going or not going, well, now you have to go to come see me and come see Black Jaded Wolf. But more importantly, like what is something that that somebody who hasn't been to that show should be looking forward to at that show that's different than others?
So Chantilly is one of the best signing show.
Mhm.
If you want to bring your kids, experience meeting the athlete, it's the best. I'm telling you, they have like a sick lineup. Ovechkin is signing first time. He doesn't usually sign. The interaction is just good with kids, and it's so a lot of the old shows have 90%, 70% vintage.
Right.
This is more like 60-40. It's still a lot of vintage, but there's a little bit more modern, and there's a
Right.
tons of memorabilia too. So it's like a good balance.
Like Tyson and Mike Vick, they got it all.
Yes,
Right?
they do, and they also obviously have the old Hall of Famers. We gotta get them signing.
Cal Ripken's there.
So
I'm going to ask him, if he doesn't like the fact that Billy has the more famous baseball card. Cal Ripken played 3,000 straight games.
yeah,
Doesn't
I
matter. Billy
know they
Ripken's the
do.
card I want.
There's still people that are bringing that card to grade in right now. So it's a good combination. But to me, it's also there's a lot of people that's from Atlanta, Virginia, New York, Philadelphia, Delaware that's coming into that show. So it's okay foot traffic. It's okay. It's a good show. It's a mix of different things. That's the only way I could explain that show.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, the autograph stuff. I mean, I've seen that at Hofstra, but yeah, I mean, if you look at the lineup of CSA, it's amazing the amount of people that
Mm-hmm.
they have, signing at the show, and some big names. And I mean, listen, I'm a kid from the '80s. Weird Science was one of my favorite movies, and they got the guys who played Anthony Michael Hall, right? I
Yep.
mean, he's coming in. I'm gonna get a signature from him. I hope. It'll be
They
pretty
used to
cool.
have a Tinkerbell selling signing there too. So
See, so
mhm.
I mean,
So that's a good one.
I'm looking
And
forward
you
to
could
that.
get some good deals there too. So there are a
On
couple of like repack people that goes there and buy, so if they could buy, you guys could buy.
There you
Everybody
go.
could buy there. Hmm.
Repack folks usually find bargains. So you find bargains. You
Yep.
can find me and Andrew. That doesn't happen a lot. Andrew and I in the same room. Some people starting to
And
wonder
they
whether.
have
God,
and they have a good trade night because Blowout is literally a few miles away.
we had Tyler Santiago on, and he's
Yep.
hosting the
Hmm.
trade night. He said the
Yep.
pizza is, but it's free.
Okay.
So you
Well,
know
New York, we're spoiled with New York good pizza. So
So that's it. Well, listen, guys, we hope you enjoyed this. An interesting format, just a conversation between, Sharon and myself, Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged, our first episode. Let us know what you think. And if it's something you like, we'd love to continue to do this. Come back in a couple weeks, talk about what we did at the Chantilly show, and give kind of a preview of, has Sharon sold that last Jalen Hurts card? What is she moving into next? And maybe you'll get to know what she's buying when she's buying it, right? And maybe get kind of like a little advance on that, what she picked up at the show, where her head's at, and kind of, to me, I think this is important because the shows are another aspect of the hobby that don't get talked about enough. They are for some kids, for some people, their first foray into, the hobby. And if we do the right thing at the shows, we might get people who will stay in the hobby and make this something that, that they stay in for years to come. And that's kind of the goal, right?
yep, that's the overall goal. So
There we go. Thanks, Sharon. We'll talk to you
thank
soon.
you.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo Mai. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.